listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network. Now, the largest new media platform on the web and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith. Johnson.
The AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California. Presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV's Dallas After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Dallas After Show.
What's up, little cowboys and cowgirls? We're back. Dallas, Season 1, Episode 6, Enemy of My Enemy. Bing is for doing, and we're here doing it big tonight. It was a big episode. I'm your host, AJ Gibson, along with my lovely co-hosts. I'll let you introduce yourselves.
Dorinda Barker.
Kellie.
You always forget that you're the girl.
I know it's hard
look at you. To differentiate, but
yeah, we go like this.
I know, well,
like
because
this.
all the other shows we always go like this.
Ladies first.
So, yeah.
Clearly.
I know you guys are total
Confusing,
gentlemen.
I get
I'm
it.
sorry.
Respectful. And I'm Ryan, everyone.
oh, Lord. Respectful. That is not one word that has ever been used to describe you in your life.
Me?
Yes, you.
I have tons of respect.
So, ladies, we're so excited to have you back.
I
Since
know.
you were hungover and unable to make it last week after the 4th of July.
Sorry, we partied a little too hard. Too many firework parties.
I know, we almost missed it too.
I didn't see one firework.
Yeah, what if no one shot? I did.
I didn't.
Huntington Beach. Beautiful. God bless America.
I didn't even go out till 10 p.m. that night.
You're a mess.
And somehow I damaged myself.
Well, luckily, we're all in one piece, and we're back covering this fantastic
we are
show.
back. Yeah.
We're coming into the second half of the first season, episode 6. Big one.
Good.
Picked up where the last one left off. A lot of stuff going on. Southfork now belongs to JR, kind of. We find out that maybe not all of Southfork belongs to JR, though, which is kind of cool. That's one of the big topics of this episode, and I think we should probably start with that.
Yeah.
Mineral rights.
Do you like how I wrote down the word dead instead of deed? I spelled it wrong. I'm looking at my notes. I'm like, dead. Who died?
I looked
Deed.
down too, and I was like, someone's
There's
dead.
no A
What
in
episode
D.
did we watch?
Really
That's next
fantastic.
week.
Right?
Ooh,
Yeah.
I know.
They did tease that there's a
going to be
death.
some good predictions.
Yeah. I hope Marta doesn't die. She seems like the obvious choice, but she's so crazy.
She can't yet. Like, no, she just has to be like in the shadows for the rest with knifed pictures everywhere.
She's a chameleon though, because every time you see her, she looks completely different.
Yeah, I always think
for
they
some reason. She's like the Madonna of Dallas.
Like 3 different episodes this season, I thought they recast her. I'm like, is that a new actress again? But she's just wearing like some random like tight dress. She looked hot.
I can only tell because of the scar.
Amazingly hot.
Her scar and her lip. Like that's the only one that I
What
can.
are with the women and the scars?
Yes, exactly. That's what I was going to say because I thought Rebecca got recast after a couple episodes too, but I noticed she has that scar in between her eyebrows.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Right.
They're all like
Rebecca.
Dallas Harry Potters, like weird little things. Do you know what I mean? Whenever Cliff Barn gets
all
near.
the Ewings went up against Lord Voldemort.
Exactly.
Well, you did think that the
one guy.
the PI guy,
Yeah.
looked like the guy that turns
I
into
swear
a rat.
that JR's henchman is the guy who turns into the rat on Harry Potter. I don't even know what he is.
I don't know
but-
his name either.
Yeah, whatever. I'm a good fan.
Marta also pulled a full on Nene Leakes, and she's like, "I'm rich.
Yeah.
I'm very
Yeah,
rich."
she did.
Yeah.
When Nene like, I'm rich, bitch.
Yeah. Too funny.
I love her.
So what is the deal? JR gave away 14% of it. So
Well, apparently he gave away 14% to the what's the guy's name?
Vincent.
Yes.
but
Vincent
they're
to
like
the
a cartel,
Venezuelans.
right?
Yeah.
Yes. They're in bed
Del
with some,
Sols.
some dirty people from south of the border.
Right.
And they have to, if they don't hit their deadline to get the oil to them, they have to pay an extra, or it's even more than that, because 14% is like the starting point, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's 14% of the oil.
Yes.
That's what they have to pay back to them. And I don't know what it is.
Or is that their payment plan?
I thought that was a payment plan. Then they lose the.
Then they lose everything,
Everything.
right? So
Wait,
so,
like layaway, like a payment plan?
yeah,
Sort of.
well,
Okay.
That's
all right.
like paying a mortgage.
Because
so
they've
if
got
they're late
these-
on the mortgage, they lose it. Oh.
They lose
Because
their
they've got
lives.
the billions of
They
barrels.
lose the deeds.
Yes. The
And
deeds to the
then
Moulin
some.
Rouge. Every week. We're gonna bring that up every week.
Well, because who says
not gay.
deeds anymore? Who
Yeah.
has the deeds?
I know.
Well, you know who had the deed?
Jock.
No,
Jock.
Jock. No,
Jock's father.
Ellie's father.
Ellie's father.
Mr. Southworth. Well, I don't even know who. He was never even alive.
Yeah.
He wasn't even alive in the original. But his
No.
desk is still there, and the key was still
I
hiding
know.
in the desk. So originally, let's backtrack a little bit before we get ahead of ourselves, though.
Yeah.
Before I get ahead of myself. So Rebecca, they kind of hinted to this last week. I'm not sure if you saw the episode because you were drunk. But last week, Rebecca and Tommy,
Yes.
they aren't those characters from Brothers and Sisters too, Rebecca and Tommy?
Yeah.
Yes.
Somebody needs to change these names.
That just, I saw
I
it
get
hit your
confused.
brain
Yeah.
while you were saying, like, that just hit me.
I'm pretty transparent.
Yeah.
You see the wheels turning? No, they're not. So Rebecca has been helping Tommy look through these documents to try to find something to kind of nail down this deal and blackmail the Ewings and get control of Southfork and make billions of dollars.
Right.
Well, Rebecca, as we thought last week, wasn't really helping Tommy. She
Right.
was trying to help find a document to hide from Tommy, to take to Christopher, to take to Bobby, to help them get Southfork back.
Right.
So she wants to get back in Christopher's good graces. He's not even speaking with her right now. She's kind of devastated by it because I think
Yeah.
she genuinely loves him, which we find out at the end of the episode she does.
Right.
And she's pretty tied to him, which we find
Yeah.
out later. So she goes to the house, and the maid lets her in. She's a big part of this episode. She let a lot of
Yes,
people
the,
into Southfork.
I was going to say, the maid just keeps letting people in.
Yeah.
Anybody in?
Sure, come
on in.
I hate JR. Anything I can do to help. Yeah.
Does anybody notice though? Every time they walk in, and they're like, "The maid let me in." I don't think she likes you very much.
Everybody's yes.
Or I don't think she
Right.
likes.
Because the
And-
maid constantly has that look on her face like,
Yeah, the maid gives, like, total shit. She has no lines, but she will, like, read with an eye. Like,
fierce profile, we call it.
Right.
Yeah.
Fierce profile. So she lets everybody in. Rebecca goes and takes this piece of paper to Christopher and to Bobby that she sneaks away from Tommy. And the paper basically says that while JR, the sale of Southfork, the actual property to JR through Del Sol, is legit. However, Mr. Southworth, Ellie's father, had another deed drawn up for the
Mineral rights.
to the land, everything below the land in Southfork, which was divided up equally between the three sons, Bobby, JR, and Gary.
Yes.
Correct.
Gary years ago had signed over his rights to the minerals to Bobby. So now, if they can find this is a replica that Rebecca's brought to them. If
She
they
found
can-
an invoice.
Yes, an invoice. Yeah, exactly. And if they can find the original document, that means that Bobby now has control of everything below the ground. So JR can. That's exactly the opposite of what they both want. Because JR wants what's in the ground,
Yeah.
and Bobby cares more about what's built on the ground.
Right.
So now it's
Let's
an
just make
interesting-
it. Let's just make it more confusing
yeah,
for all of us. I mean,
but it
it's
really levels the playing field.
completely.
They both have something the other wants.
And think about this. Now, the grandfather did this by giving the grandsons this. Don't you think he saw that coming out of Jacques? Because Jacques wanted to drill on the land.
Right.
Smart.
Oh, yeah.
Smart. I tell you, something about land, because I've seen it before, like in real life, with land and anything like that. If people see it coming, you always wait to the will.
Right.
And you
Yeah.
always know how someone feels about you.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
I don't think there's any land
I want
in
someone to
anybody's
leave
wills
me.
in my family.
Yeah, I want some land.
Yeah. We have a
Yeah.
backyard and a swimming pool. Can you imagine? Like my parents passed away, they leave the swimming pool to me and like the house to my
No.
sister. Like, where we come from. We're from elite.
Yeah.
We're elite class back
You
in
can get
Ohio.
what's in the ground with
Yeah.
chlorinated water.
Yes, chlorinated water. So, so now Bobby not so trusting of Rebecca. Christopher definitely doesn't trust Rebecca.
No.
He's looking
Right,
at
he's
her
not
like,
having it.
yeah, he's wants nothing to do
No.
with her.
He yells at her, "You're
Yeah.
a liar."
Yeah, and I think she expected that response, and she handled it. She took what was coming to her, because he has a right to be upset with her, kind
Absolutely.
of, to a degree.
Yeah.
I
Not
also
to the degree
love
that-
like when they like read each other. Like most people start their cars and rev up and drive up. He has a silent car, so it just goes.
yeah,
There's
he has like an electric car,
So
and he
it's
gets in there,
like-
he's like, I'm gonna drive away.
He's like, I don't believe a word you say, and then it just like leaves in silence. It's
Really-
like hanging up on someone by doing this, like just hitting the button, and you
Yeah.
like when you used to slam the phone.
Or like watching a horror film where they don't put the sound effect to the knife in, the metal sound.
Yeah.
It's just nothing.
Yeah,
Not exciting.
There's no.
I don't like
end.
horror films.
I know you're scared.
You
You're
almost said something else.
scared. What? I don't know what I almost said. But so she leaves this document, and Christopher's kind of leery. But then he's like, "We'll take it from here." She's like, she offered to help further, because she's the one who has the in with with Tommy, and because she's kind of playing both sides still, but they're like, no,
We got this.
we got it, yeah. And so they go to look for the original document, correct? And
Yes.
Bobby decides, hey, there's a random garage on the property where Ellie's father's stuff is still being stored. And Ryan made the comment, he's like, that's all he has left? I'm like, this guy died in like the 60s. I mean, he was never in the original series, which started in the late 70s. Who knows? I mean, that was Ellie's father. Who knows how long he was gone?
That's just also like they have more storage there than they have room.
Yes.
There's
And
like,
why do you need to keep these old things?
Right.
Like, there's like a kitchen table out there, there's whatever, but they find Ellie's father's desk. And
within 5 minutes.
yeah, and very conveniently, thank you TNT, they find a key inside of a boot, a little like a little toy boot or something that's chilling on the desk. I'm like, it's been sitting there for that long and nobody noticed.
Yeah, nobody noticed that.
Yeah.
Well, because from the invoice, the deed was drafted. It was like a deed from like 1941 or something. It was
Really?
like something that they must have like redone. Because I just saw the year on it, like 1941. But I've
so
got to go
observant.
back.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
so
I've got to go.
observant.
I want to go back and kind of rewatch it and see exactly what it said because I just caught that tail end of it. So it has to be something that could have already been around,
But
like
then-
separating those two from a long time ago, and he just went ahead and did it.
So when the original was drawn up, though, it had nothing to do with Bobby and JR, and then if it was drawn 70-some years ago, correct?
I don't know. That's what I want to go back and see, like just
Yeah.
make sure exactly what I was looking at because I could be
That's
mistaken, but
that's some foresight.
it was. I don't know. It was interesting. I gotta
So well, they
go
find
back
this
and
key, and it's a key to what is the
Union National.
No, it's
Texas.
not. Texas National.
Texas National Bank.
You just make up stuff when you don't know.
I don't know.
Union National as he drinks his whiskey.
I like to keep things light.
Right. So they
The
have to go
last
to
episode.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So they head to Texas National Bank with this key, and they get the safe deposit box that had not been opened since
Since
he was alive.
right.
Yeah.
So the 60s or the 70s, who knows how long it's been since Mr. Southworth was around, and they're going through it, and they find some like random. What did they find in there?
They found a gun,
gun.
other
Yeah.
paperwork, birth certificate.
Like an old school
And-
Smith and Wesson, Ellie's
Yeah.
birth certificate.
And uncle's discharge papers from the armed forces
Okay,
and
all right.
stuff like
They had
that.
a lot of old documents.
Yeah, but then Christopher did find actually the original deed to the Moulin Rouge.
Yes.
And it was like written in like calligraphy. I mean, it
Yeah.
was like that's old school.
It was an old school
Yeah.
deed.
It was
Yeah.
parchment paper.
Parchment paper
Yes.
at all.
But
Yep.
it looked like it held up pretty well.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, well,
whatever.
it's been in a box, so it
Yeah.
hasn't been tampered with. So
Okay,
I can,
all right, fair enough. So
okay
they
with
find
that.
they find this original deed, and but before this, I think I did miss a point here. Before this, Christopher actually told Bobby, he's like, "Look, we don't need to look for this deed because he has the DVD,
The sex tape.
the sex tape." Yes,
But here's my problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
Why would he think that? Because there's nothing really on it aside from those two knowing each other.
and
but-
her real name. That's part of
But
it.
is there any? Like was
Because basically it showed that he knew her real name, so he knew that this was going on ahead of time. And so
Yeah,
basically what happened last episode was if they get proof that JR knew about this ahead of time, then the whole
Deal's off.
sale goes off.
Yeah.
okay. So him going to the police would have then.
Yeah,
Kinda.
and
So why
John
doesn't he
Ross
just
would be
do
committing
that?
fraud. He'd go to jail.
So why didn't he just do it anyway? If they were so concerned about
Because
why does it always have to go to blackmail?
Here's why. Because last episode, when, as I'm sure you remember, Christopher had the DVD in his back pocket and
Right.
pulled it out to show Elena. Then he put it back in his pocket, and because Elena made a comment like, "John Ross would never hurt me like you do,"
Right.
and he was like, "Okay," and he put it back in his pocket, kind of showing that he actually does love her, and he, as much as he wants to take down John Ross, he loves Elena more.
Right.
So he didn't show her the DVD. If he released that now, she would know about it. She'd be devastated.
Right.
So it's like a double-edged sword. He doesn't want to destroy her
Yeah.
because he still cares about her.
Yeah, and
exactly.
he's already done enough to her.
Yeah, 'cause
he
she-
feels.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but it wasn't really all of his fault. They were both kind of,
Yeah, but then he put that nail in
Yeah,
the
he
coffin
did.
from the 2 episodes.
Right.
When he
before
threw the
this.
$20,000
Yeah,
at her,
he
and
tried
he
to-
was like,
Well, yeah.
Yeah, you're the maid's
Yeah.
daughter.
Right.
Yeah.
And then he was drunk last episode. He had a really bad day last
Yeah,
week.
he had a really bad day last
bad
episode.
day. Yeah, it wasn't
Okay,
good.
so he tells Bobby that he has this and he wants to try to blackmail.
Yes.
And then your favorite quote was, that he's been people that blackmail an eye for an eye makes both people blind.
Yes. Oh, that's the one I told you to write down. I'm like, I don't feel like writing. I'm eating a cookie right now. I think I was eating. I don't know.
That's what we
Thank
should
you.
do. We
Yeah.
should pick our favorite quote, and then that's what we read.
Yeah, that was a good that's a good
Mm-hmm.
quote. That's a great point because blackmailing and being underhanded usually doesn't
Yeah.
always work out in your favor, as we're starting to see from tonight.
Yes, and also it's interesting how this is starting to play out because in general, JR has always been the bad guy and Bobby's been the good guy. I mean, there's definitely moments where Bobby kind of delves into that gray
Right.
area, obviously, more so out of necessity, I think, over the years. But it's interesting to see now, like, I'm not completely certain that John Ross will just be the bad guy and that Christopher will just be the good guy, because it looks like John Ross in moments is really trying to do the right thing. Sometimes he is a little bit in the dark and he's getting screwed over by his daddy also. And then at other times I think that Christopher looks like he's just ready to fight. He's ready to fight dirty and like Dad, look.
Right.
This guy's JR's been kicking your ass for generations, a generation now. Like,
Right.
let's
Do something
fight.
about it.
Let's fight fire with fire.
Well, and I
So-
think too, he's still trying to prove himself, and I think that's where a little bit where that comes from is he still wants to prove that he is a Ewing, no matter what anybody says, and he's
Absolutely.
willing to fight for that. So he's being a little, probably more aggressive than he normally would had that, if that factor wasn't added.
Which is also where JR originally was always trying to prove himself, because in the original series it was Bobby who was like the golden child,
Right.
and they were a cattle family initially. So I think JR was the new school, the new idea. He wanted to take the family in a different direction, so that was his motivation for all those years and led him down a darker path.
Right.
So now if Christopher is heading down the similar path, he could very well end up being the one, and wouldn't that create some dynamics?
Absolutely.
The good father, the bad son, and the bad father and the good son, and now how then that creates all kinds of different cross rivalries. And now Sue Ellen's involved later in this episode, and if she
Yeah.
becomes a governor, I mean, hell, the Ewings own Texas.
That's
Right.
true.
A lot of shenanigans.
Scary stuff.
Drill, baby, drill.
Drill. Oh, how long did it take us? It took us 16 minutes and 46 seconds to get to our first Republican reference. Sarah Palin. Sarah Palin.
Yeah.
Ding, ding, ding. Nice work, AJ.
There you go.
Anyways, so what else about this deed? Is there anything I'm missing? Is there anything I'm not touching on right now? Because at the end of the episode, they take the deed basically and they go to John Ross then and say, look, we've got the deed. And Bobby explains to him, well, your dad has a third of it, but I've got 2/3 of it. So
I'm the winner.
Yep, you can sleep here all you want. You can't do a thing to the land.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're all
So-
hat and no cattle.
Yes.
Is that what he said?
Yeah, that's what he said.
That's genius.
Yeah, they have the best one-liners.
They do.
Just like your
really do.
daddy.
They must sit around like the writers and just have a few cocktails and
Yes.
get crazy.
Yeah.
I saw it, Dorinda. You're so sneaky. Hey guys, guess what? Let's talk about Amazon. So Dorinda.
I mean, she literally was like,
She did it like this. Hey, Marissa in the box is telling us to talk about Amazon right now, AJ. You're so smooth. Fantastic. Hey guys, if you have any purchases you need to make, go do them on Amazon. The website's amazing. Everything's so much cheaper.
You get your own big
take
hat.
Take a breath. And you can do so by logging on to AfterBuzzTV.com. You're killing me right now. And click on the banner in the top right corner, the Amazon banner. And all it takes is one extra click. It doesn't cost you another penny. And it really helps us to do what we do. What is it that we do? We subtly tell each other to make commercials.
Exactly.
Go to commercial breaks. No, we're not going to commercial break. But hey, oh, look.
Oh, yeah.
And she's breathing again. So yeah, if you guys could make your purchase on Amazon through AfterBuzz TV, we'd really appreciate it. It's
really easy.
Yeah, so easy.
I just
Just a
did
click.
the other day.
It gets a little addicting, actually.
I
I'm like,
know.
I need to. Oh, I want to go buy something online because I can help. I can help AfterBuzz.
Exactly.
I
It's
just
kinda
did it
fun.
the other day too.
It feels like charity to me.
It feels like it's another day. We can still be here.
You need to pull yourself together.
Yeah, you are a
Crying
train wreck.
I know, that was funny though.
Hey AJ, look at that sign in the window. I see it. Ain't my first trip to the rodeo, sweetheart. So,
Rodeo.
rodeo. Oh, that was a nice little tie-in.
nice.
Okay, so JR is in Las Vegas. The
Sin
first scene
City.
we see of him, he's got 3 women massaging him from every angle.
Getting a mani, a petty, and
Yeah.
who knows what else.
Yeah, that's right. I love JR. He's hilarious.
He's out of control.
He's so badass.
Yeah.
I want to be JR. You okay?
Yeah, no,
I'm not
I'm
gonna look at
good
you for
now.
the next 10 minutes because you're still recovering, clearly.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. Your
Uh,
makeup's ruined, but it's
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it's all right.
Well, it turns out JR went to Vegas now to follow up Cliff Barnes, who's in the casino industry now, correct?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And he wants to get in on this $1 million buy-in on this poker game that's going on in Vegas because he knows that when Cliff Barnes came to town, he really didn't come to town to try to buy Southfork.
There was some other plot.
Yes, there's another plot, and he wanted to ruffle JR's feathers and distract him from what he was really doing.
Right.
JR's no dummy.
Right.
So they've been playing this game
Back
for
and forth.
decades. Yes. So now he's in Vegas to play in this poker game to really kind of ruffle his feathers and figure out what it is he's really after.
Which he thinks it's bringing gambling to Texas.
Yes.
Which would be insane.
I mean it opens up so many possibilities for season 2. If Sue Ellen's the governor, and we've got old oil, old money, and this new age methane tsunami causing technology. Electric cars, and then we have
And then gambling?
Then we have gambling?
I mean,
Let's go to Texas.
yeah, exactly.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And I would never go to Texas on
Hey,
my own.
hey.
I'm just
You
kidding.
should
I would
absolutely go. See,
love
everybody,
Texas.
so many friendly people in Texas.
Yeah, but
sometimes
That's
You know
what
what?
Tommy. I have that written down. Tommy's.
go. A lot of bushes in
People from
Texas.
Texas
A
are
lot
too
of bushes.
nice.
Way too many bushes for me in Texas.
Stop
Just
it.
kidding. I love you, HW. So anyway, so now if this is all going down, that's a lot. There's a lot going on.
Right.
So he's trying to squash this. Well, Cliff Barnes sends his assistant, the
Sketchy assistant.
Creepy guy.
who I also feel like he was recast because I thought he was the guy from
it's
Star Trek.
It's
but
still the same guy.
No, it's the
no,
same
he
guy.
just put on a few pounds. And he comes in, he comes to JR, he's like, hey, basically, what are you doing here? Why are you here? JR's like, I want to get on that poker game. He's like, it's $1 million buy-in, invite only.
You
Right.
can't afford it.
Yep. He's like, from what I hear, you don't have the money. He's like, don't worry about the money. I'll see you later. And he doesn't even ask him to invite him. He just tells him he'll be there.
Yeah, send me the details of the email. Call me with the details.
Right. On his BlackBerry. He's the only one who doesn't have an iPhone.
Yes.
Because this whole entire show is like an Apple advertisement.
Completely.
If you guys pay attention. There's like billboards outside. Everybody has a MacBook Pro.
People are
Yeah.
sneaking up on people.
Yeah, taking
The
pictures.
camera angles
on
are
the
changing.
Silly Apple. We love you. So he leaves. The assistant leaves. There's something shady about him because JR then gets on the phone with creepy rat guy from Harry Potter, who's not actually in Harry Potter, but what's his name? Do we know?
No idea.
I can't remember his
Creep-
name.
creeper
but he
detective.
calls himself like a bloodhound that he
Yes.
can
Yeah,
like
the
he's a
bloodhound.
PI
Yeah,
guy.
the bloodhound.
We'll
Just
call
send
him
me the picture, and I will find her.
Did
Yeah.
you say bitcher?
Pitcher.
Enunciate.
What's a
Carrillo.
bitcher?
I don't know. You tell me. So he sends his little bloodhound. He calls him up and says, find out about this assistant because there's something up with him, which we all thought actually.
Right.
Yeah, we even thought that when we met him the first time in episode 2.
At Cliff
Yes,
Barnes'
right.
house,
Yes.
right? When
Yes.
When
Shady.
Christopher
went
came
over
over.
there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then he also says, call Del Sol. Was it Del Sol?
Yes.
And
Yes.
have them wire me $1 million. And he goes, yes, it's fine. Have them wire me $1 million. I want to call
Okay.
somebody and
Yeah.
ask for $1 million.
especially and he doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know about the deed yet.
Yeah.
So this is going to be interesting for the next episode. Is
Yeah.
he's over here asking for $1 million and they can't drill.
Well, because what's
So-
his name calls JR about John Ross and lets him know that John Ross looks like he's getting in a little over his head. And JR says, what do you say? I threw him into the
Briar Patch.
briar patch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let him get himself out, basically.
Yeah.
This is what I wanted to happen. See how he deals with this. And for a while, it looked like John Ross was going to fall apart. He grabbed his fake oil derrick and threw it to the ground and shattered it, which he
Right.
later tried to put back together with glue, like a little
Right.
boy, like he was upset that
Yeah.
he broke his like model
In
plane.
slow motion, it shattered too. It was
Yeah.
like a full thing.
It was
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
right.
And when he was getting ready to throw it over his head, it was metal and like wood, and I was like, "Oh my god, he's gonna scratch this beautiful hardwood floor." And then as it hits, I'm like, "Oh, it's concrete. Okay, we're good.
We're good.
We're good."
Smash it.
I was looking out for him. Might be some beautiful teak flooring. You never know.
Right.
So John Ross, it looks like he's getting in over his head, and in that moment, it looks like that's the turn from good to evil. It kind of looked like it was kind of set up that way. But he's not really in over his head. Kind of. A lot's going down that he can't really control, but JR always knows best somehow, and he's not stressed, so I'm not stressed yet.
Right.
Right.
sense?
Right.
Just go off his stress level.
Yeah.
Well, I think sometimes with John Ross too is that he's trying so hard to be that one step ahead like his dad is, that he's just not. And sometimes his arrogance kind of gets him in a little bit of trouble. And then he just goes and throw fits like he went to his mother and plays that whole, you abandoned me, you always sacrificed things for me ever since I was born, you never do anything for me. And he's using guilt to kind of get what he wants rather than necessarily just being smarter than everybody else.
And I think also, though, what makes his character so complex is that I feel like he legitimately feels those feelings.
Oh, absolutely.
He's tormented by being sent off to boarding school his entire life and not having the mother and the father that he wanted to have. So now he's trying to prove himself to his dad. He still resents his mother. And I feel like also he does love Elena. Because he didn't send the email and apparently didn't have, as much to do with any of that as we thought he did.
Yeah.
And he genuinely loves Elena. And I think that also holds him back too, because as she's talking to him earlier in the episode, she's saying, well, now I know you had nothing to do with this. You're a victim like everybody else. Your dad is manipulating, blah, blah, blah. And she's hugging him and holding him, and the look in his eyes as they're hugging is kind of like, I know a little bit more than you think that I know.
And I think go ahead.
I was going to say, I think he definitely knows what he's doing, though. Like, even when he went to his mom, I think he knew ahead of time that was the card he was going to play with her. Also, in the beginning, he was prepping Elena, saying, I don't know what Christopher's thinking or what lies he might be saying about me. Like, he is, like, prepping for the worst all over the place, and I think he's, like, manipulating everybody.
I think John Ross is better at covering up his mistakes, and whereas JR, he's got the foresight to not make them. He's always 2 steps ahead. John Ross is quickly trying to catch up and cover his ass all the time, but JR is always ahead of everybody.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Right.
Yeah.
It just shows his age too. It's kind of like, I mean, he doesn't have the experience.
Because when JR's character originally was on the show back in the late 70s, he was still older than John Ross is now, right? By a bit. He was like 40 or something.
But then
Late
back
30s
then,
Yeah.
people looked 40, but they were 20.
all- yeah.
Like, it was weird.
True.
You know what I mean? So I don't know how old he was.
Yeah.
But no, they did. I mean, but they also acted older too. Like
Right.
they've been around the block. Like these
Right.
kids. I'm making them sound like these kids.
Yeah.
But they are not. They haven't been around.
They were drinking
as
scotch
much.
in the morning. We're drinking a
Yeah.
vodka Red Bull.
I
You know what I
know.
mean? It's like a little different.
A vodka Red Bull.
What are you drinking
In the morning?
right now?
Not a vodka Red Bull.
Oh, I
I'm drinking
guess,
water right now.
I guess just the wine will do.
How do you think my skin looks like this at age 27? Right.
Lies.
Half a decade ago. So another character I think we need to touch on, Marta.
Oh.
She wasn't in this episode a lot, but she had an impact.
Right.
She did.
That dress had an impact.
Oh, I have to say, for as crazy as she is as hot as she is.
Yes,
Right.
absolutely.
She's the hottest one on the
Well,
show.
She is gorgeous.
Yeah.
Hot women generally are crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What is it? You can always judge a woman by how crazy she is, by how hot she is. Like that's the saying.
Exactly.
Yeah, she's
But
like the crazy version of like Sofia Vergara from Modern Family. Those tight dresses, those curves, that South American flair, but like she's the bad side of it.
Right.
So Sophia plays like a funny, like lovable character. This is like the opposite.
Right.
Yeah.
This is
Yes.
if Sophia were on meds and went off of them, this is what she'd become. I feel like I'm not saying she's on meds, no allegations, but I'm saying Marta is crazy.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
She's always popping pills. She's always trying to manipulate people. She's always video recording people having sex.
Right.
Wearing blue boxers. I'm still not
Well,
sure
I just
about
lived
that.
that she like showed up at the house like just so tea, like perfect, ready to go, and she was just like, "Well, yeah, I've made some mistakes."
Yeah,
and she
like
just-
let's move past it. And John
Right.
Ross is like,
You've done this,
Yeah.
and
Well,
wasn't
didn't she
having it.
say she skimmed money off of the Southfork deal?
yeah.
Well, oh no, she goes, I got money from the Southfork deal. Like, so whatever the deal went, when the deal went through, she got paid for
Right.
what
Oh,
she
Commission
did.
or
okay. But
whatever
I
it
thought
was.
she
Yeah.
actually, I thought it sounded to me like
Oh,
she
yeah,
got
no,
more
yeah,
off of it
no,
than
no,
just
no.
that. 'Cause
Yeah.
she's like, I'm so rich.
Well,
so
she
rich.
offers to take John Ross and run away.
Yeah.
And he's like, he basically looks at her like, woman, you are insane if you think I'm going. What do you say? I wouldn't
I wouldn't
go
cross the street.
cross the street with you. Why would I leave the country with you? That's classic.
And he physically pushes
Yeah.
her out.
And then he tells a crazy person that she's
She's crazy.
crazy.
Yes.
You #1 rule with crazy people: you never tell them that they're crazy.
Like I would never tell her she's crazy. Oh hell! Did you see those eyes she just gave me? Crazy.
Don't do it.
She's bipolar. She's laughing one moment, the next moment she's plotting my death. I love you. Look, I'm not mad at little bipolar. I dated that one for 3 years, so I know all
Let's
about
not
it.
even get that started.
you best
So,
friends.
but she is crazy, legitimately.
Yeah.
And I said, as soon as he left, I said, hell hath no fury, like a woman scorned. You could see it in her eyes. She's not going anywhere anytime soon.
Is that an Ohio
Unless-
saying?
It might be. Relax. So, unless she is the death next week, because they're hinting at a big death next week.
Right.
It can't be one of the main characters, but it could be her. Or it could at least look like she dies.
Right.
I
hope not.
I love her character.
I want her to be in more scenes.
Yeah.
Who could they kill?
Oh,
The assistant, maybe? What's his name from?
No, I still
It could
think
be
we
the
need
guy
to know
that
more about
threatened
him.
him that came in, that he's the one that's doing the deal with him.
Vincent.
Oh, Vincent.
Oh, yeah, it could be.
It could be Vincent.
He was kind of boring.
Which I thought Vincent also could have been the one with the knife on the picture, and not
Yes,
necessarily
let's talk
her.
about that, because we assumed that it was Marta that broke into Elena's house when John Ross went over there, and he and Elena walked in. She goes, I swore I shut this door, and she goes to take a shower, and he walks into the kitchen, and there's a knife inside an 8x10 picture of Elena and John Ross, and it's just chilling there, and he's like, uh-oh.
Happened to be on the cutting board, though.
Yes,
too.
on the cutting board.
Yeah.
You don't want to
Didn't
ruin
want
the
to ruin
counters.
it. Of course.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just like,
They're still very respectful when
Yes.
they're being evil in Texas.
Yeah.
Exactly.
just like how he threw the oil derrick on the concrete floor instead of the nice teak flooring.
Right. You don't want to get
Yes.
crazy.
They're thoughtful.
It's
Yeah.
crazy,
It's an
but
expensive show.
not too
It's
crazy.
an expensive show for TNT. Let's be honest. So
But he doesn't even look around, really. He kind
Yes.
of glances here and there, and then he's out. He just leaves
I'm like, look, I
Elena
don't look-
there to take a bath.
yes.
And he's not even really, he doesn't look around the proper, nothing.
Nope.
He just
Doesn't
bolts.
open a closet door. Doesn't
And there's
look under
nowhere
a
safer
bed.
to be if there's like a break-in to be completely nude in a bathtub. That's because that's real safe.
Because we haven't seen that played out
Yeah.
a million times in every horror film
Or how about
ever.
the Southfork ranch hands? They were like still baling hay like in the middle of the night, like just randomly. Like make sure you keep an eye.
Hey, Dorinda, are you going to elbow me? Because I think it's time to talk about iTunes. Really? Hey, guys, if you guys like our show, if you love watching Dorinda fall apart every time that we get a note to go to a nice little advertisement, let us know about it. Get on iTunes and rate and comment. We will comment back. I love reading your guys' comments, and I love letting you guys know that I appreciate you, because I do. And also, there's also a new app for your iPhone. It's called Podcasts with an S, and you can automatically have every one of your favorite podcasts from AfterBuzz TV downloaded directly to your phone, so you can listen to us everywhere you go.
Or your iPad, too.
Or your iPad too, but not your iPad 1 like I have. The old version. Not clapping for that, are we? I've got an iPad 1 still that I actually sent him to buy one year. We were still together on Thanksgiving Day.
It's always this is
I
like
gave him my credit card. I'm like, can you go buy me an iPad? I don't have time. I'm roasting a turkey right now, and he went and got it for me.
Maybe we should do couples therapy.
Right on
Part
your own
two.
show.
Part 2 when that comes out on VH1.
So
Love it.
let's move into the big character of the episode. She had, I think, the most dramatic storyline. For sure. Rebecca.
Yes.
She's becoming a bigger character than
Yeah.
we thought she was going to. Oh no, I forgot to write one name down.
Who?
Anne.
Yes.
How did we miss this?
Oh, I want to
And-
know.
Before we go into
Anne.
Rebecca, let's cover Anne real quick.
Yeah, and that will be good to talk about Ryland.
Yes.
too.
Yes.
Yes.
No,
So-
we weren't going to mention him at all.
Well, again, the maid, she's everywhere in this episode. She walks up to Anne at one point in this episode and says, "These were delivered for you," and she hands her some flowers.
Frisia.
Which
Yeah,
were not
not
tea.
that impressive.
No
No, but they
vase.
smell so
No, I know.
good.
Frisia. I only know what that is because of Bath and Body Works in the 1990s.
I had never heard of it.
Smells so good.
No, it doesn't. So,
Fresh flowers.
not if you're a
they
dude.
do.
So she gives her flowers, and then she also gives her like a little box, which I thought was like chocolates because I was hungry, apparently, with a card. And she opens the card, reads it, and it's from what's his name, Harris or
Harris.
Harrison? Harris Ryland, the man who had pulled the trucks. The week prior, she went and asked him. It's her ex-husband.
Her ex-husband.
Right.
Yes, he pulled the truck so that JR couldn't get the oil down to the Latin Americans in time. I'm not sure what
By
country they're
Friday.
from. Yes, by Friday. So she gets this message, these flowers, and also a little box. She opens it up, and there's a necklace inside of it, and she clasps it to her chest and falls to the ground crying. As Bobby walks up, he's like, "Honey, what's wrong? What's wrong?" Nothing. She runs into the house. We've never really seen that side of Anne.
Right,
No.
she's a
She's
pretty
She's always been
strong, put
she's always
together.
been very
She's-
stoic every
yeah.
episode, and she completely lost it. And then we see her in her room a little bit later, actually putting the necklace on. So, and it looked like a locket. We're all kind
Yeah.
of guessing. You guys thought that maybe they had a child together, or lost a child or something years ago, or there's
Right.
some sort of
There's-
tragedy behind
There
it.
has to be for her reaction.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm wondering if maybe, and I can't remember from the previous seasons if it was even mentioned in the first original series. So if anybody knows,
Yeah.
please go to iTunes and let us know if you know the significance of this locket or necklace, because
Yeah.
I'm really
Because
curious.
this Ryland character is coming into the show a little more. He's getting woven into a couple different storylines. Now we've got the connection with Anne, and also after John Ross goes to his mom, Sue Ellen, and asks her, she looked great this episode, by the way, ask her to kind of help him out. She's like, I can't really do that. I made a promise to my constituents or to my backers as I run for the governor of Texas that I'm not going to do any of this shady stuff.
Right, no dirty politics.
And he makes her feel terrible, and then she then goes to Ryland because they know each other through social circles.
Right.
So she goes to him and she's like, look, I have a seat, basically, it was the Texas
the Railroad Commission.
And she says, I think you'd be great for it if you could just help me out with this. And he's like, I'm not going to make you bribe me. I'll do it as a favor because I think I picked the wrong side, to support in this family feud. She's like, thank you, I really appreciate it. So he's now tied into her, tied into Anne.
Right, because then he also made a donation afterwards too.
And
so then
she
that
didn't
is
want to take it. Did you see the look on her face?
We don't know if she took it though, because the scene ended without.
Didn't he grab?
He was holding it, and she was like this, and she had her hand there, and the scene ended. She never actually took it out of his hand.
Yeah.
But he said, "You will take it because people like me need people like you in office."
Yes.
Right.
So we're not sure if Sue Ellen is, because she's kind of taken the high road for a lot of years now, and kind of become an upstanding citizen on her own right.
She took it. She's a politician. It's too late.
I know. It'll be interesting to see.
Which how hard is it to rent trucks from someone else? That's another thing.
Well,
can you rent some trucks?
Well, he has kind of a monopoly in Texas. And they said there's another big drill going on right now in South Texas, and the other major provider of these trucks is down there being swamped right now for the next couple of weeks. So they said it's going to be, and they have until Friday.
Some trucks?
I know,
he could have got it from another state.
Out of state, it would have taken a few days, he said, and they just don't have the time. They have until Friday. So it kind of had to happen quickly.
Yeah.
And we know one thing about the Ewings for sure is they're not really patient people.
No.
When you have that kind of money, you don't need to be.
Exactly. Well, one thing too, just to back up a little bit with Harris, is that after Anne breaks down and cries over this necklace, Bobby storms into his office, and Bobby doesn't punch him. Bobby slaps him.
Okay, no. Yeah, Bobby doesn't slap. He backhands him.
Yeah.
And that is so old school Dallas. That is so from the 70s and 80s. That's how people used to hit each other.
But that's so emasculating. I think it's worse than a punch.
It's so insulting.
It's so insulting.
Especially because every episode is
awesome. That was like to show you're not man enough to take a punch. I'm gonna.
I used to slap AJ that way. That's sort of why we broke up.
I used to slap him too, because he was into that.
Inappropriate.
Don't go there, Carillo. So, but the funniest thing is that Bobby backhands people, but his wife grabs rifles.
Yes.
I'm like, Bobby, who wears the pants in that relationship?
That's a
Seriously?
lot. It's a lot.
I don't know. So, back to Rebecca.
Yes.
Rebecca. So she's trying to get back into the good graces of the family. She goes out to the Southfork Ranch. As she's leaving, she's walking out to the car, and she stands there, gets a little bit dizzy for a while, leans on her car, and touches her nose and realizes she has a bloody nose. Which in your world, that clearly means she's pregnant. What else would it mean? Every time I get a bloody nose, I take a pregnancy test.
Right. Or she had
and
a
then
cocaine
I reach for a wire hanger. I'm kidding. But apparently she's pregnant somehow. How do you make the jump from I've got a bloody nose to I need to go get tested? Don't you have to ask to get tested for a pregnancy?
Well, if they're running a lot of tests and they can't figure out what's wrong with her and she had some symptoms, sometimes they genuinely randomly.
And they're taking blood tests and stuff like that, and that's how
it would have shown up.
I guess that makes sense because what doctor in his right mind would be like, oh, you have a bloody nose, I'll check for a pregnancy.
Right.
Yeah,
she's having a miscarriage through her nose. What the heck is going on?
I understand, and we're women, and we both were like, I don't get it.
I thought maybe you were going straight for the aneurysm.
That's what I thought. I thought like an aneurysm or something.
Something wrong with the brain. I was thinking, what is she really into? Has she been?
I thought she'd been partying a little bit too much.
Yeah, a little too hard. What's going on? But pregnancy, never would have thought that.
I was hanging out with Lindsay Lohan. What's she been up to? They're gonna draw that.
She's so distraught over this marriage.
Right. I did not see that coming. I did enjoy though that Elena took her to the hospital, and when they were at the hospital, she told Elena go ahead and go home, but then she stopped her and said to her, you know what? I'm really sorry that you and Christopher's relationship didn't work out because of things that I did indirectly. I had no idea when I met him that this had gone down, that my brother Tommy had done this. I'm so sorry, and I'm happy that you guys now will have a chance to get back together.
Right.
Which I felt was as sincere as it could have been.
Right.
I mean, obviously, I think she was also trying to test her a little bit to see by Elena's reaction, you can tell if, well, I wonder if I'm Elena, I'm thinking, or if I'm Rebecca and I'm saying this to Elena, I'm thinking, well, I can tell by her reaction if they've slept together since we broke up a couple days ago.
Yeah.
So she might have been testing her a little bit as well.
She's also probably thinking, well, she was my maid of honor last week.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Right? So Elena says to her, she goes, that's not going to happen. And she's like, why? She goes, and why did she said, why? And then Elena said, because of Christopher.
Right.
And she was kind of like, So then Elena left, and Rebecca took a taxi cab back to Southfork Ranch and to pick up her car. And as she got back, Christopher was coming back in his silent car, and they run into each other in the driveway. And she's like, before you say anything, I'm just getting my car and leaving, like all dramatic. And he's like, well, I just want to tell you, you know, what you brought us, that invoice earlier. It looks like it's legit. And she's like, did you guys find the deed? And he says, we're working on it.
Yes.
Which tells me he still doesn't trust her enough to let her know that, because he's not sure if she's playing him or not yet.
Yeah.
But they did find the deed, the original,
the
deed to the Moulin Rouge.
The deed.
So.
Well, now knowing that too, when Rebecca goes back and tells Tommy, you know, I'm tired of you thinking you can push me around. I'm done. We're over. This is enough. Take my rings. Go get whatever you can for them and get out of here. But now that he knows that they did find something, I'm wondering if that'll just make him stick around longer to try to see what else he can do.
Because he mentions, he's like, because apparently Christopher hadn't been on his computer for a while. And he goes, Christopher's on his computer again. Apparently they found a deed to the mineral rights on Southfork. So they must have found something that's what we were looking for through all these files. And all of a sudden it clicks in his head. And he looks at Rebecca, and she's just standing there dead silent. And he's like, you didn't.
Which, Rebecca, if you're trying to like help, like have him change his computer out. That's what you should have told him first.
Yeah.
Let's
Or
like
break
cover
his
your
computer.
Let's cover your base. Just buy a new one. Let's cover your bases a little bit here.
Yeah.
Sweetheart.
Show up with a new MacBook Pro with a bow on it.
Exactly. Here you go.
Spill coffee on his computer.
Yeah.
Something.
Nope,
but-
she's not really thinking.
Well, and I'm wondering too if Tommy's gonna want to be around more because she is pregnant and try to manipulate her to kind of get something out of
because
it.
she says to him, I do love him. I am in love with him, and I'm pregnant.
Which
Yes.
I also took that scene with who knows. I thought, what if he's the father?
Tommy?
Yeah, because I mean, she didn't really say. It was very, very. I mean, we always thought that there was a little shenanigans maybe between them.
What if it's
That
not
would
really
be-
her brother, or what if it is her brother?
Ew.
And she's pregnant by him. It happens.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, this show does take place in Texas.
Hey,
Inappropriate,
hey,
inappropriate.
Hey. I'm a Texan here. We don't do that.
Right, clearly. But that's they could go a lot
Only
of ways
between
with that
first
storyline.
cousins,
Correct.
which is legal in more states than gay marriage. Just
Oh,
saying.
don't go there. But he does
Stop
make some
it.
valid points.
Yes.
It could get real
It
dicey.
could. It absolutely could. We've thought that from the get-go that they may or may not.
It gets more complicated with each episode. It's kind of like the old saying, ignorance is bliss. The more I know, the less I feel like I know about the show.
Yeah, it just gets more and more confusing.
Thank God they already got picked up for season 2, or I'd be like sweating. I'd be like breaking out in hives every day, like wondering if they're going to try to wrap this up in 4 more episodes.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, and to be honest, the episodes just get better and better
They
as they
do.
go. They really do. I mean, you're more. I'm more enthralled every episode. I'm like, oh, what are they doing now?
Yeah.
You know, because like the first episode was so much,
Right.
Yeah.
and now it's just like, oh,
I'm
this is
really,
awesome.
really proud of TNT actually, because especially such an iconic show, there probably aren't many shows more iconic than Dallas.
Right.
And to tackle that material and to do it the way they have, it's a great show.
Right.
Every single episode has gotten better and better.
Yeah.
And I don't
Yeah.
know how they do it. Not a lot. I mean, shows nowadays can't do that, and they're not being compared to anything. This is being compared to the original 14
Right.
seasons.
It's also shot
Yeah.
so beautifully. It just
Yes.
looks like pristine. It looks gorgeous when you watch the show.
Yeah, it
and the
really does.
writing is so great. They've got great one-liners. It's not,
It's
you
smart.
know, it is. It's not as cheesy as I thought it might
Right.
be.
Yeah.
So that's that's been really refreshing.
And
to
they
see.
pay homage to the original characters all the time.
Yes,
There's
which is great.
there's such respect to the original show that I love, because you really could turn off all those fans very quickly if you don't acknowledge.
Right.
you
And I
know?
think that's what a lot of other reboots or remakes or whatever you want to call them, they go into that problem. They try to change too quickly and like kind of get rid of like the old cast that maybe came in, and it just sort of just turns into something else. Which
Where's Jenny Garth on 90210? Why isn't she the counselor anymore?
exactly.
I stopped watching it when she left. I got mad. I got through Shannon Doherty leaving, but when Jenny Garth was gone, I was like, I'm done.
Done. I'm hitting it.
If Sue Ellen ever leaves the show, not watching it again. Just kidding. I love JR too much.
Oh, well, yeah. But just but we've talked about this millions of times, but just having them all together and them all working together and how they all mold together, the new characters, old characters, is just so good. And it's just, once again, the writers and them doing it and doing
There was one thing that was a little ridiculous in this episode. You know, I always have to bring out the ridiculous. Was when he was looking at whatever that signature was that Rebecca handed him.
Yes.
And he says, I recognize this signature. It's one of my old daddy's hunting buddies.
How would you remember that from your childhood?
Excuse me, sir?
Yeah.
Who wrote that line?
Yes. That was
I recognize the signature of one of my dad's old hunting buddies.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
what a memory.
It was his lawyer, though, right? One of his hunting buddies used to do the legal stuff
I
for that.
guess
Is that
that
what he
might
said?
make a little more
But
sense.
that's just a stretch.
No, it is. You're right.
I just want to live in a family where, like, attorneys are part of your everyday life. You know, like, what?
Exactly.
I want to have that kind of money where I have to talk to my attorney every day.
Well, marry an attorney.
Yeah.
It's a good idea.
I could marry, who could I marry? Nikki Newman from The Young and the Restless.
Nice.
Yeah. Wait, she's not real. Sorry, Melody Thomas. So, we have a couple more things we want to wrap up this episode, but I think before we do that, we should probably take a commercial break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey there, good buddies. The handle's Wooly Bear. I'm a truck driving man, but I'm not that old school kind of truck driving man, no. I like to listen to podcasts while I'm driving through these great United States of ours. And my favorite podcasts in the world are from AFTERBUZZ TV. And why? Because AFTERBUZZ TV is like a post-game wrap-up show for all your favorite TV shows, like Jersey Shore, Dancing with the Stars, Mad Men, and a whole truckload more. I like listening to my Gossip Girl podcast, catching up with all my fellow fans and getting all the latest news and gossip. No, I got some strong opinions. And AFTERBUZZ TV lets me share those opinions with thousands of other listeners. Woo-wee, what a feeling. I used to doze off on those lonely stretches of road. And don't worry, I got the cruise control. But now I'm wide awake and listening to all the AFTERBUZZ TV goodness. Check them out. Give them a holler. And tell them the old Woolly Bear sent you.
Sticking out in the back.
Here? I feel like I have a chunk of hair sticking out. Do I?
It's from all those wigs you wear on the weekend.
I do. I love a good wig. I have a wig drawer. We'll talk about that some other episode. It's an actual fact. So, this episode, a couple things I think we learned from this episode. That you can win by being honest and working hard, as Bobby and Christopher show. Mm-hmm. They teach John Ross a very serious lesson. I don't know how long that lesson will last or if it'll stick, but in the meantime.
Yeah, well, I don't think that he's mad. I think he's scared.
Yes.
There's the difference.
For
Because
sure.
that was a look of like, I'm dead.
Terror.
Like,
Right.
you just killed me.
Do we think, though, that John Ross is more afraid of going to prison or of his daddy?
I think he's more afraid of the Venezuelans.
Yes.
Right.
Well,
Yeah,
That's what I think.
that was my next option. I was getting to it. Clearly.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think he's really scared of those people. That
Right.
Vincent scared the bejesus
Well,
out of
because he
him.
even says when the PI guy comes in and says, do you think Christopher will really give that DVD to the police? He says, if we don't get this oil out, it doesn't matter what he does.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think
He
that
knows
goes
what's gonna
back
happen.
to, he's a little bit terrified of the deal that they made,
Yeah.
more so than I think anything else.
And Rebecca's pregnant.
Rebecca's
We
pregnant.
all know how that works out on the Ewing family when somebody gets pregnant unexpectedly.
Yeah.
It can get real dicey, real interesting.
And
Right.
we also learned that you never call a crazy woman crazy.
You don't call her crazy woman crazy. And what else did we learn? I thought I learned something else.
That you're all hat and no cattle.
Yeah. I love that. I do love that. And we also learned that the maid has a lot more control than we ever thought. She
Yeah.
lets anybody into the ranch.
Everyone walks on in.
Whatever. She's in control of that place.
And we learned that JR's henchman is not the guy from Harry Potter.
No.
Nope.
Yes.
He is
Nope.
not.
And we learned that Elena just happens to just live on the ranch for no particular reason other than
Yeah.
her mom works there.
She grew up there. It's like, it's her home.
Okay, what a gig. How many maids do you know that have their family get to live in a beautiful mansion on a ranch?
Right.
I mean,
And
I
they-
want that job.
Only
Exactly.
in Texas.
Or I want to be one of these guys who works on the ranch where they hand out hundreds to them to watch over and they grab their rifles.
Right.
I'm
You're
like,
already on salary.
they're getting tipped on top of it.
What the heck?
It's an extra duty.
Apparently.
And she's precious.
She is. That's precious. It's so precious that he leaves her naked in a bathtub with some crazy woman
Exactly.
running
Yeah,
around.
after searching the apartment or the house for 3 minutes.
Not
no, not
even.
even
Right.
3
3
seconds.
And going to the apartment and finding that Marta's not there. She has hauled butt out of that apartment and nobody knows where she's at.
And that apartment's like 200 square feet. I'd be like, I needed more room.
Well, it's a hotel room, wasn't it? Because he had like a key card to get in. So I think it's a hotel.
She's crazy.
Yeah.
She's going to pop up all over the place.
Yeah.
She's nuts. I like her.
We're going to see some boiling bunnies, I think, pretty soon.
Boiling bunnies.
Is that normal in your world?
Fatal Attraction.
Fatal Attraction.
I've never seen it.
Can we hashtag boiling bunnies?
Have you never seen that?
Oh my god, I don't appreciate
Are you
getting
serious?
screamed at. No, I've never seen it.
Neither have I.
Oh, that's
Oh,
a good
really?
one.
Is that so shocking?
Yeah, it actually is.
Have you guys seen Boat Trip?
Unfortunately.
I've
Yes.
never
That's
seen
the
that
gayest
either.
movie I can think of all of a sudden. I don't know.
Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
Yeah.
Yes. But that movie's great.
That movie's
Tu Wong
amazing.
Fu.
Yes, I actually have seen that.
So, do you guys have any news? Do we
Well,
have any- what have we been hearing?
AfterBuzz TV News.
what I do
Go ahead.
have is that I ran into Josh Henderson at the Playboy Mansion on
That's
Monday
definitely
night.
news.
Yes.
Fantastic. Was there
Yeah.
any shenanigans going on?
Well, he was actually kind of boring. I was a little, a little kind of depressed
What about at the
that.
mansion in general?
Well, the mansion is never boring.
Exactly.
But he was there with a guy friend of his, and they were kind of running, walking around very casually. He's a little, a little bit
Holding
more petite
hands.
than.
Just kidding.
No, they were not holding hands.
wish.
But
Did you
he
go
was-
say hi?
I did go say hi. He was really nice, and he was really friendly with everyone. But I think he's a little, he's a little shy. In real
Everything
life,
I've heard
so.
about him, because I know a few people that know him. My sister's met him. She's hung out with him before. Everybody says he's such a nice guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really,
Oh,
really
yeah.
nice. He was talking to everybody. A lot of people were stopping him, asking for pictures and all
I
that.
also keep hearing, kind of keep reading that there's some animosity between him and Jesse Metcalf.
Yeah.
That they're not really getting along very well.
Yep, that was in Star
Bit
Magazine.
of a power struggle. I don't know
I
how
don't
true that is,
know.
but I've read it on a few sites online. I wonder if there's anything to that, or if they're just trying to stir up the pot.
I think
and
they might just be
create-
trying to stir in the pot because these guys have been friends for a really long
Yeah.
time. They've known each other for years and years
Mhm.
and years. He tweeted a picture recently of them from like the
Really?
early 2000. They've
That's
really
kinda
known
cool.
each other for a while. So
They used
I
to
don't
both
know.
hang out at Saddle Ranch like before Dallas, which that's like, that must have been
They were
Destined.
prepping for the
they're
show.
preparing. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Riding
Right.
the mechanical bull.
Having a Texas tea.
Can we not advertise for Saddle Ranch
That's
right now?
true, that's true.
Please. Let's move on to predictions. I'm going to start with you, Ryan Allen Carillo.
Me.
Now,
Let's see.
your AfterBuzz TV.
You can talk over it.
Oh, sorry. I'm still fairly new. No, I think there's going to be some Cliff. Well, I'm hoping because JR, I live for him. That there's going to be some more Cliff Barnes action in Vegas. There's going to be something with that storyline is like being very hidden, and for the fact that he has like a henchman with him shows that there's like some shenanigans hopefully going to happen there soon.
Yeah. And you, Kelly?
I don't know. I think Sue Ellen's gonna go down this dirty road she doesn't really want to go down. I think she's gonna take the money, and then all of a sudden she's gonna be wheeling and dealing left and right. And I think she absolutely will be the Texas governor, and then it's just gonna get crazier.
Mm-hmm.
I hope she starts drinking again. That would be fun.
No. But to go on to what you're saying, and she always says to John Ross, I have your back. You ever notice that? All the time.
Even when
so
she
I
says
wouldn't
no.
be surprised. Yeah.
And then goes back and rekins and does what he wanted her to do in the first place. So
Her character could very easily spiral out of control because she was a train wreck for
Yeah.
so many years. And that's like, real life too. Addicts and stuff, they go through, horrible relapses. And like that would be.
Again, it happens to Nikki Newman all the time. Every few years on Young and the Restless, she goes back to rehab for
Right.
drinking.
Happened
I
to me
love
on
that show.
4th of July.
Apparently, it happened to everyone.
I still made it, though.
I
ladies.
really had to work.
I threw up in that bathroom and still did the show.
My predictions are, as we come to the end of season 1, we've got 4 more episodes. They've been a little bit light on the original characters the last couple of episodes, just bits and pieces. I think this first season is going to end with big storylines for all of the major characters. I think that you're going to find out what's going on with JR and Cliff Barnes. I think that Sue Ellen is going to be right smack dab in the middle of all this, and I think that Bobby will be too. I'm really excited about that because they've been playing these periphery characters that I think they've had to really build up in the middle of the season since it's such a short first season, because they really need you to latch onto these characters, Rebecca and Elena and John Ross and Christopher. But I think when it comes down to the end of the season, I think these original characters are going to show these newbies how it's done, because nobody does cliffhangers like Dallas.
Right.
Oh,
So I'm excited. We've got 4 episodes left. We'll be back here same time, same place next week. You guys can follow me on Twitter at _AJ Gibson.
At Lula
Again, it's not rocket science,
looking over
people.
here, like-
Come on.
You can follow me at Lula Cherry Films on Twitter.
You can follow me at Kelly with an IE079.
And me, Ryan Allen Carillo, 2 R's and 2 L's.
Thanks for stopping by, guys. We'll see you again next week.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz y'all later!
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.